strings, which we just looked at, are pretty simple. Regular expressions are a lot more complicated. So the idea of regular expressions is that they are a way of representing a pattern. And so you can search through the strings and find places that match a general pattern, and then either chop up the string or replace the entries that match the pattern. So let me give a quick summary of the methods that use regular expressions, then look a little more detail at regular expressions, then go to Firebug and give some interactive examples. So the replace method of strings uses a regular expression, and it replaces all things in the string that match the regular expression with some replacement. Now, regular expressions are complicated, but here's a quick example. X plus means one or more occurrences of an x. The G after the regular expression means global. Don't just do it for the first one, do it for all occurrences. Okay, so this says, find all places in the string that have one or more x, and replace that entire group, that entire pattern, with a Q. So here's a place with one or more x. That should become a Q. If I didn't put the G at the end here, it would just replace that one and be finished. But because I said G, do it globally, here's another place with one or more x. And it replaces that with a Q. Here's another place with one or more x. So it replaces that with a Q. Okay, just a basic idea. We'll give more details shortly. Then there's match. Match says, give me all the parts of the string that are that regular expression, that match the regular expression. So I use the same pattern, one or more x's, and do it globally. So here's one or more x's. So it becomes part of the array of the matches. Here's another place with one or more x's. So it becomes part of the array of the matches. Here's another place with one or more x's. So it becomes part of the matches. So it takes the parts of the string that match the regular expressions and puts them into an array of the matches. Split kind of does the opposite. Instead of finding the places that match the regular expression, it finds the parts in between what matches the regular expression. So I say split it on 0 or more x's. And so the A is before, so I get the A. Then it skips over the 0 or more x's, and it finds a B. So the B is in the output. Then it skips over one or more x's, and it finds the C. And then it skips over one or more x's, and it finds the D. So if you use match and you use split, you get the whole array. The match gives you the parts that match the regular expression. Split gives you the parts that don't match the regular expression, the parts in between. And finally, search just gives you the index of the place in the string that first matches a regular expression. So one or more x's, this is the first place where there's one or more x's. The first entry is index 0, so this is index 1, it returns a 1. Replace is the most generally useful one. And probably split is the second most useful one. All right, so I kind of used regular expressions without explaining what they were. So let's give a little more detail about what regular expressions are and what they mean. So you specify regular expressions with a slash. Notice on the previous page, I use slash x plus, not double quotes. This is different than most other languages where strings represent regular expressions. I like the JavaScript approach better. There's no confusion. It's clear that this means a regular expression. It doesn't mean a kind of fixed static string. Now, in the previous example, I used plus, x plus, one or more occurrence. There are all sorts of special characters. It started off in the Unix world with a program called awk, A-W-K, which was named for the initials of the developers. And then it spread into other Unix commands, and then Perl, and then Java, and then C++, and C#, and Python, and now JavaScript. And they use the same basic sets of characters to mean the same things. So I will quickly summarize them here. It's more than you can digest all at once, but just learn a couple. When I get to the Firebug example in a couple of slides, I'll look at the most important ones, learn those now, and then just realize that there are other special characters and come back and learn those later. But at least get the handle on the basics now. So a caret, an uppercase little hat thing, means the beginning of the string. $sign means the end of the string. If you have something in a regular expression like a star and you want to look explicitly for a star, well, that would normally mean something special, so you escape it with a slash in front. These three are the most important: star, plus, and question mark. X star means 0 or more x's. X plus, which is more useful, means 1 or more x's. X question mark, which is also useful, means either 0 or 1 x's. If you put things in curly braces with a number, it means the thing in front of it occurring that number of times or that number or more times. Putting it inside square brackets, you can group things. If I put A, B, C in square brackets, it means any of A, B, or C. Slash S means white space. Slash capital S means non-white space. Slash W means a letter or a number. In other words, a word character. Slash capital W means a non-word character. And then if I put a G at the end of a regular expression, it means global. Find all matches. If I put an I, and I can combine these together, it means ignore case. And if I do an M at the end, it means check across multiple lines. Now, this is way too much to digest all at once. I'll give you some interactive examples of the most important ones. But if you've never seen regular expressions before, put it on your list of things to learn. Regular expressions are kind of like XML. They show up everywhere. Most of you are probably beginner programmers. Start with the basics of JavaScript. But probably your goal is to become a professional programmer, or at least a part-time programmer. And knowing what regular expressions are kind of part and parcel of being a programmer. So eventually, after you get experience in the basics, you want to go back and read some more detailed tutorials. Regular expressions is kind of a whole topic in itself. We could talk, a couple hours on regular expressions. Learn the basics now, but keep in mind that you want to learn more about regular expressions. It's something that every programmer ought to know because it comes up a lot in almost every language. So now let's try some interactive examples of the most important ways to use regular expressions. As usual, when you want to try something interactively in JavaScript, you start by bringing up an HTML page that you wrote either in Firefox with Firebug installed or in Google Chrome. You bring up either the Chrome Developer Tools or, in this case, Firebug, and you try things interactively. Now, regular expressions are complicated. We're not going to learn all of it now, but let's learn the basics. Let's look at the basic syntax of using a slash to represent regular expressions. Let's look at the star and plus patterns. Let's look at the G and I options at the end of the regular expression, and let's look at grouping things with square brackets. So let's make a test string. S equals 2 A's followed by an X, 2 B's followed by 2 X's, 2 C's followed by 1, 2, 3 X's, 2 D's followed by 1, 2, 3, 4 capital X's, and then 2 E's. And let's practice searching around in that string, finding various patterns and replacing them with, in this case, we're going to replace them with a Q. So I'll say s.replace. And the first argument is the regular expression. So I put slashes, an X. And I'm going to replace it with, the second argument is a string, so I use quotes, a Q. And it does do a replacement, but only does one replacement. Oh, I need the G option to do it globally throughout the whole string. So I put in the G option, and now all the X's get replaced by Q's, all the lowercase x's. But this is probably not what I want, because each individual X got replaced with an individual Q. I didn't really find a pattern. I didn't find a group of X's. I found a single X individually. So I need one of those things like star or plus or question mark. Let's try star first. Well, star is the most powerful, but it's usually more powerful than you want because it means 0 or more occurrences. So if I do this and I look at my original string, I say, well, in my original string, there were 0 X's in front of the A. So I get a Q in front of the A. And then there were 0 x's between the first two a's, so I get a q between the first two a's, and so forth. So 0 or more occurrences is not usually what you want. You usually want to use the plus operator, or perhaps the question mark operator. The plus operator pattern means 1 or more occurrence. And so on. Now I get mostly what I want. Where there was 1 x, I get a q. Where there were 2 x's, I get a q, a single q. Where there were 3 x's, I get a q. But the uppercase x's were not matched because JavaScript is case sensitive by default. But if I want the matching to be case insensitive, I can use the I option. And now where there was 1 lowercase x, I get a single q. Where there was 2 lowercase x's, I get a single q. Where there was 3 lowercase x's, I get a single q. And where there were 4 uppercase x's, I also get a single q. And then finally, I can use the square brackets grouping operator. A, B, C, D, E, plus. So the way to interpret this is any of A, B, C, or D, A, B, C, D, or E, 1 or more times. So now the A's, the B's, the C's, and the D's, and the E's, and any combination, any order will be replaced, and the X's will be left alone. So it replaces the A's, the B's, the C's, the D's, and the E's. And if I had a mixture, 2 A's followed by 2 B's, that whole group would have been replaced by a single Q. Okay, so regular expressions are hard. You're not going to learn all of them now, but they're widely used not just in JavaScript but in other languages. So practice the basics now, but put on your list of things to learn eventually more details about regular expression.